This is the 16th message that we have received from the future. This one is unusually incoherent. For more information about these letters, we refer you to the beginning of the last one, 15. Letter. By the time you receive this, the information will probably be hither and yon. But we're so overjoyed that we're still going to go for it. Just pretend that you haven't heard it, and we'll focus on it in this latest edition of the newsletter. I'm talking, of course, about the wonderful benefits derived from the new government program of spying on everybody. Greg, what's happening? He doesn't know, but letters from our letters to the editor column need to be inserted now. Huh? Letter. I mean, isn't it kind of okay now to start a new sentence before you've, finished the old one? That's sure how it seems to me, right? Only when speaking. Yes, Craig says that when writing, we're still supposed to finish sentences. Letter. I'm going to come right out and, say it. Aren't you folks fans of the horrific Grand Guignol? We've never denied it for a minute. The Grand Guignol is one of the undisputably great French contributions to culture. Yes, Craig says that it's confined here to the floors low enough that jumping out of windows will cause minimal damage. By the way, I can tell by his smile that he loves my French pronunciation. You do too. Letter. People say that the society is like Mauritius, but I can't find anybody who, knows what it means or what Mauritius is, right? Greg? He says it was an African country, and before the big change, it went from being one of the world's poorest countries to one of the richest. He says he got that from the Paradise Papers. That sounds a little suspicious. I'm waiting for his smirk. He says they were like the Panama Papers. Letter. I mean, does anybody there know what Orson Welles, the famous actor, meant when he said, that in Hollywood people, betrayed their friends not to, save themselves, but to, save their swimming pools? No, that information is no longer available. Craig says they had amazing swimming pools in Hollywood and seems to find something humorous about it. Is that all? Can we get back to our topic? Craig says he thinks so. Something needs to be done about these interruptions. As for what we were saying about spying on everybody, what's always been up in the air is whether there actually exist people who are just as decent and upstanding in private as in public. We're pleased to announce that it's been uncovered that the vast, to say the least, majority are. In fact, there is even more encouraging news. We'd hope to hold back on this until we finish celebrating the first item. Enthusiasm will be the death of us here. A decent number of people who openly scorn the rules of the culture, in fact, practice them diligently in private. Everybody is holding their breath around the offices here, wondering what will happen when people find out. We in the society don't agree with the notion that there will be rioting in the streets. Why would it be such a hard pill to swallow? Apparently, the reasoning runs the same way it does if information about UFOs were to be released. It would send people into a wild frenzy. Some think that it would reach the point where people would start doing what they've always wanted to do. Beep. What? What? Letters? Again? Are are they? What? Is this important enough to interrupt our subject? There's been an iteration of the big change. I didn't notice anything. Craig says things seemed strange for a few seconds. Letter. Yeah, I heard that you, like, display riotous and unsettling paintings on the 13th floor there. Yes. What's that, Craig? He says it includes the paintings of the Cuban Wilfredo Lam. Those are the tall figures, separated by vegetation, aren't they? Craig says yes. The collection began when we were located in the desert and scrubland of the American Southwest. Are you sure about that? He says he's not sure about anything anymore. Letter. I mean, like, have we kind of achieved a genuine meritocracy? That's what I heard. We achieved it, then surpassed it. Letter. I mean, what's known about the Orchidomania of the late 19th century Britain? Just that hothouses spilled over with blooms and the hundreds of thousands in febrile purples, ambers, and scarlets. It's sometimes called orchid delirium. Greg thinks we know more about it. But we'll leave that for another day. All right, good news just came in. Known changes after the last iteration of the big change seem to be less drastic than the previous one. Now we can get back to our current topic with a lightened heart. Beep. Wait. We have some breaking news concerning another possible iteration of the big change. Craig thinks they're becoming more frequent, and I think he's right. While it's being prepared, we'll insert letters from our prize-winning letters column. Yes, Craig, the prizes are on display on the first floor between our grindhouse, cinema theater, and gift shop. Letter. Yeah, like, is it supposed to kind of make us feel better when they say it's okay not to be okay? No, it's a statement of fact. Many of you may be wondering at this point how we, the society, keep a level head in light of potential catastrophes. Our improbable secret, don't say we never told you anything, is that what we've discussed in our topic is, for this issue, small potatoes compared to what we normally deal with, which is that all of us are nothing but a bunch of pre-programmed automatons. It's just that nobody is smart enough to realize it. And that's not even the kicker. Try this one on for size. What would it even be like not to be an automaton, to be free? Now you can see why we in the society are such relatively nervous Nellies. Letter. By the way, do you play sticky Europop there at the big headquarters building? We have Zara Larson and Dua Lipa. Yes, Craig. And also Martha Wash and Loliata Holloway. Yes, we know how to have fun. Letter. I mean, I kind of read that all days of, fulfillment in religious history are like great disappointments. Since the things, expected, like, nirvana and the apocalypse and, like New Jerusalem never like happen. That's religion, son. Craig says think what do we think the big change was? I just know what you don't think it was. How does it feel to be an atheist, Craig? He says it's fun sometimes. It can't be fun sometimes. It's not that kind of thing. He doesn't like to be called an atheist. He doesn't even think he is one because it can't be proven that there's no God. Yes, Craig, you atheists hate it that you can't prove it. Letter. Say, have copies really become more important than the originals? Yes, to the point that copies are now called originals. Letter. I kind of heard they found out where the, decisive shift was. The kind of produced the last major alteration in world affairs back before the big change, right? When there was an economy kind of organized around like the production of commodities. At this point, we in the society just know that it had something to do with spinning yarn. No, Craig, we don't know more than that. We're not supposed to mention that name. Yes, it's also known that sheep were responsible for breaking down the old order. Doesn't that have to do with Sir Thomas More's book, Utopia? Craig says yes, high wool prices induced a greedy response, and the old feudal order didn't stand a chance. New classes of landlords converted arable land to pasture, enclosed the commons, and drove the peasants from the countryside, turning them into a class of landless laborers. Isn't that what liberated them from the bonds of feudal society, though? Craig says yes. They were now free to sell their labor. I don't know why he says that sarcastically. Is it because they were British instead of French? He says in feudalism, doing what was right was the motivator and being moral. And then there was religion itself that shined the brightest light of all. It seemed impervious until greed came along with its commodities and well-trained publicists making minced meat out of it. Letter. I mean, how can someone become kind of, impervious to evidence, right? Check out beliefs. They're designed to aid us in disregarding truth and reality. Isn't that right, Greg? He's the one that taught me that. Beliefs are great for that. Letter. Isn't the society headquarters in the empty space between Istanbul, Vienna, and Budapest? Craig, wouldn't that be Bulgaria? He says, yes. But aren't we in the United States? He's taking a look out the window. Beep. Iteration.